Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. It's a live edition, a Thursday edition of PodUp with Matthews in the Morning, coming to you live from the International Diamond Center Studios. Fine jewelry, watches, and much more. Family owned and operated with the largest selection of natural jewelry. If you missed it, Gator softball loses 4-0 to the semis in Tallahassee. Got to regroup and get ready this weekend. And I think baseball is home to Auburn, if I'm not mistaken. And then, obviously, we're getting ready for Saturday night, 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, tip against the Auburn Tigers to play for a national title. Got a good show lined up today. We'll have Brent Beaird here in just a second. We'll have Mike Morgan from the SEC Network get his thoughts on Gators and Auburn. Let's go to the Titan Number Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Tent. We're joined by our college football analyst and Heisman Trophy voter, Brent Beaird. Good morning, Brent. How you doing?
Shane, good morning to you. As a courtesy to our folks in the Jacksonville area, please stay off the Buckman Bridge. Both directions of the Buckman are closed because of some police activity. So they are directing people, Shane, off of 295 onto 17, where they can go down to Green Cove and go across 16. Just imagine that, okay? I have no idea what's going on yet, but just a word to the wise, if anyone's watching or listening to us in the Jacksonville area, if you can skip the Buckman today, do yourself a favor, at least for this morning.
Yeah, that's going to be a mess for sure. Brent, Gators and many other SEC teams have their spring game next Saturday.
Yes.
We also have a date set for SEC Media Days. It's going to be in Atlanta, Georgia.
That's right. Yeah, we were there a few years ago. We'll be back this year, July 14th through 17th. That is Monday through Thursday. Shane, I do wonder if we add a few more teams to the SEC for Media Days, we may go Monday through Friday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Spring games are coming up. Most of the SEC is April the 12th. Alabama is. Arkansas is the 19th. Auburn's the 12th. Florida, as we know, is the 12th. Georgia's the 12th. Kentucky's not having a game. LSU is April the 12th. Mississippi State, Shane, unless you've heard something different, I don't think they're having one. Missouri's already over. They've already had their spring in the books. Oklahoma is April the 12th. Ole Miss is not having a game. South Carolina is having a spring game on Friday night, April the 18th, which is an interesting idea. Tennessee's April the 12th. Texas A&M spring game, April the 19th at 3 p.m. on the SEC Network. That, as far as I know, this is hard to say compared to past seasons, this will be the only game in the SEC that will be televised. Texas has no game. Vandy has a game on the 12th. Now, a lot of the reason these games are on the 12th is because the following week is Easter weekend, and schools try to stay away from that for their fan base. So anyway, Shane, how unusual to have one SEC game televised, and that's not saying something couldn't happen, and they add another one, but that's where we are right now.
Yeah, it's pretty bizarre. You got, I think, 4 SEC teams, as you mentioned, not having games. About 5 or 6 years ago, everybody wanted their game televised, and now nobody wants it. And as you said, the Aggies are the only one. Brent, I brought this up the other day because I saw it on Twitter. Didn't know all the details, but Coastal Carolina giving out free concessions. How's that going to work?
Well, it's a genius marketing plan. Frankly, fans can get 4 items per visit to the concession stand: hot dogs, nachos, popcorn, and fountain drinks, with no limit on the number of in-game visits. How about that, Shane? So the reason it's a genius idea is fans have complained for years now about the price of tickets and the price of concessions, and can they get something in return? So it would be interesting to see where this goes, if it catches on. Now, I mean, do they raise prices of something else? Don't know, but at least it sounds good, doesn't it, Shane?
It does. It'll be interesting to see how this goes for sure. Steven says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, spring games are great for fans with family and those that can't afford a regular season game. If these are going away, what other type of event could UF do to keep the spirit of the event going? Yeah, I agree with you, Stephen. It is the one time on campus, because usually you have like a baseball game, softball game.
Sure.
You got other things later in the afternoon and the evening that, people can drive up from Tampa, Miami, wherever it may be, bring their kids, because I think it's still free to get in, and you can let the kids run around because it's not packed. But I don't know what they would do. But it looks like that's the way it's going, but we shall see for sure. Brent, the early Heisman favorite odds are out.
Yeah, Arch Manning's number 1, as you can imagine. Garrett Nussmeier's number 2. Kate Klubnik from Clemson. Nico is up there. Drew Alar from Penn State is up there. Carson Beck, the same. Lenore Sellers, Julian Sang. People may ask, who is that? Well, he started at Alabama, now is at Ohio State. DJ Lagway's in the list at 25-1. John Mantier, the same. So this will change as the year goes along, but it's always fun to kind of throw that out every now and then.
Looking at that list, a lot of quarterbacks, obviously. Well, they're all quarterbacks except one. And he's the best player in America.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Smith is clearly the best
yes.
player in America.
Yeah, good
but
point.
He's the only guy on this list of about 15 that is non-quarterback. So we'll see how that all plays out. Spring game, we've talked for years, Brent, and then Dion wanted to do it with Syracuse, Colorado, Syracuse, a little spring game action in Boulder. That got turned down. Do you see this ever happening?
Maybe, and here's the reason. They actually gave some reasons for not accepting the game. One was because the timing was late. In other words, there had already been some spring games taking place. Another, as most teams have planned out in spring practice, they concluded their session recruiting advantage, and they said, I'm not real sure I buy that one, and potential academic impact for athletes missing classes. Pardon me while I laugh on that one, but that's typical NCAA rhetoric with that. But the point about this is, if they get started earlier next year, maybe something would happen. Now, the funny thing about this is Mike Gundy of Oklahoma State. See, Oklahoma and Oklahoma State talked a little bit, at least the coaches did, about renewing their rivalry for a spring game. Well, Mike Gundy was quoted as saying, Shane, well, we ought to go ahead and just play the game. What could they do to us? Right. Meaning you've got an NCAA that, I'm not going to say they're powerless, but he does have a good point. So, no, I would still be surprised if it ever happens, because the coaches really don't want it for a variety of reasons. But for the fans' sake, it being a revenue stream is why we'll have it one day or something close.
Yeah. On Facebook Live, brought to you by Meldon Law. Andy says Riley Coolden's folding up his tent and going back into the portal. Not surprised. I don't think he's a great basketball player personally. Nothing against him. Been saying it for years. He says the Gator used to have a football fan day where fans could meet players and get autographs. Yes, I was a part of that. Those days are gone because they're going to want to get paid for signatures. I guess you could pay to get in line or something along those lines. Brent, Andy also says, Brent, did you see that Boise State is scrapping the blue turf and going to natural grass? I did not see that.
Yeah, I did.
Was that one of those April Fool jokes or?
Yeah. Well, particularly, now I did see it, and it got me. I'll admit that. But when you really think about it, frankly, and Zach, our producer, is told us it is probably April Fool's. But I mean, the reality is, Shane, at this point, I guess you could. But at this point so close to the season, with it being April, I mean, could you redo your entire field?
Yeah, they could do it, but I think it was April Fool's. I'm not 100% about Boise, but I did see on Twitter, Arizona State, Florida State, they all had these maroon or garnet turf fields. So I think it was just an April Fool's deal.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but one of the most bizarre things, and I brought this up the other day, is a lot of people may know this now, but Andrew Luck became the president or director of football. I don't know what his title is at Stanford to oversee the football program. Okay. Well, like 2 weeks ago, he fired the coach.
That's right.
So now he's hired Frank Wright. It's a 1-year deal. He's only sitting in for 1 year, but I just think that's very odd how late they fired the coach. And then he's just going to have Frank Wright coach for 1 year only. Bizarre to me.
Yeah, that's an insane situation right now at Stanford. Stanford is almost a military school in terms of what the players have to go through. Now they've got an endowment that's out of this world, but that really has nothing to do with football. The situation here is the reason it's like a military school. They do very little NIL, and in order to get into Stanford or transfer to Stanford, it's a nightmare. So they're really handicapping themselves in many ways. And again, the reason we're interested in this is that they're part of the ACC now. So it's a very unusual situation, Shane, to have a guy there for a year. I mean, they may make him the coach if he works out, but Stanford football right now has a lot of roadblocks that's preventing it from being very good.
Yeah, the Pouncey twins, Mike and Marquise, invite you to try the mango martinis at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, handcrafted with their J.F. Hayden liqueurs. Try those flavors and find your favorite at shopjfhaydens.com. A few more minutes with Brent Beaird on the Titan More Hotline. All right, Brent, what's going on in Tuscaloosa?
Yeah, they had a scrimmage recently. Ty Simpson, from what we know, did really well. The quarterback, so they think he might be the number one guy. They're not going to admit that, but Keelan Russell is a freshman, but he needs time to develop. Some of the guys who did well, Dijon Lee, Lataurus Brooks, are freshmen who they were impressed with also. So Bama's first scrimmage in the books, didn't get a lot from it, but wanted to throw those names out there.
What's going on in Gainesville?
Well, number one, Javari Flowers rivals 100 cornerback from Miami Northwestern. That's a traditional powerhouse. That may change over the years a little bit, Shane, for what you might know about it, but that's a good pickup for them. Asa Turner, defensive back's been granted an extra year of eligibility, so that's certainly a good thing for him too. So always glad to mention a couple of positive things on the Gator side of things.
Yeah, the Asa Turner, I think he's getting like a seventh year or something like that. But
Yes.
I personally, I know nothing about it. I do not see him maybe going into a coaching role or
Mm-hmm.
maybe going somewhere else. I don't see him helping this team this year at all. The Georgia Bulldogs, I saw a clip from one of Kirby's press conferences. He was yesterday or the day before, and he was talking about how ridiculous all this pay for play is now, about how agents like set up these Zoom calls for the coaches to come on there to present what players they are representing now and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And people need to Google it. I thought it was phenomenal the way Kirby handled it and what his thoughts are, because I agree 100% with him on this.
Kirby was on Tuesday in the press conference, and as Shane said, he was very transparent about how he felt about some of this. I think some of that had been building up in him, and look, he's not the only coach who says the same thing. So, we're in a different world. I mean, coaches have been used to dealing with parents and high school coaches and players. They don't like to deal with additional people, such as agents. So that really hits them the wrong way, and that's a lot of what Kirby was talking about. They also had their first scrimmage. Basically, all the quarterbacks did, a few things that are good. Zachariah Branch, who's a transfer that they really like, took a screen pass for about 40 yards. Lawson Lucky, the tight end, had a 40-yard run. And Gunnar Stockton still, I believe, going to be the quarterback, frankly. But yeah, they really do like the Branches who came in. Also, that's a good thing at this point. Georgia still has a lot of work to do on their offensive line and their receivers, etc.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. The Oklahoma Sooners, we've talked about it. They brought over John Mateer, really good quarterback out of Washington State, but they also have the offensive coordinator from Washington State. So I got to think Oklahoma is going to be a much improved football team, especially I think Brent Venables is going to go back to handling the defense, which I applaud.
Yes.
That's why you're a head coach.
Yep.
And your defense has sucked for a long time, or since you've been at Oklahoma. So what's going on in Norman?
Yeah, they really like Mateer. Washington State had a nice career during that time. Now, at the same time, he's got to prove it on the field, basically, and he'll be playing in the SEC, so that will be quite different. Another thing, Oklahoma, is they've just got to get healthy. If our folks remember last year, I think it was during the Auburn game, all 5 of their starting wide receivers were injured. I don't ever remember that happening. But so if they can do that, get better quarterback play, and as Shane said, if the defense gets much better, that's going to improve Oklahoma greatly and take them. Right now, they're basically a 500 team. When Oklahoma and Texas entered the league, people thought Oklahoma would be much better. Unfortunately, so far they're not.
Wade asked on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, who has the best running back room in the SEC going into the spring? I like Florida's run. I like Ball. I like Jacoby Jackson, Trayon Webb, and then probably my favorite is KD Daniels. People only got to see him there in the bowl game, but he's electrifying. Hopefully he gets a lot of touches this year, but it's hard to tell. I mean, there's a lot of good running backs in the SEC, and obviously I'm more familiar with our guys. But you got to think, Brent, you got any comments on any other running back rooms?
Yeah, if Nate Frazier's good at Georgia, but the problem is the rest of those guys, they've got a couple of kids named Robinson who have been hurt for months, it seems like, and they've got to get those guys healthy as much as anything else. So I think Alabama will be okay. Jam Miller is their number one guy, but I think they've got some some decent ones behind him. But that's a good question. We'll take a look at that and do more on that in the next few weeks and kind of highlight some of these positions around the SEC.
Well, the Longhorns, they're always loaded at running back, and
Yep.
I liked their running back room last year. I don't know how many of them are coming back, but they were definitely loaded for sure. This is a basketball question from Asa, and we'll ask, Brent may know, but we'll ask Mike Morgan as well. It says, QB, do you know if Broome is going to go for Auburn Saturday? I would assume he's going to play, but he ain't going to be close to 100%. There's no way possible. No way possible.
But he's a tough kid, and he's going to play. There's no way in the world that you would keep him away from that. The good thing for Broome is they played on Saturday, and they won't play basically for another week. So you can imagine he's done little or nothing in practice. But Shane's right. He won't be healthy, but he has a high tolerance for pain. So he will be in the game, and he will be a real factor.
Yeah. Joseph asked on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, was the Mark Long statement about having confirmation Lagway needed surgery true or an April Fool's joke? Mark's got scooped now. I do not think it was a joke. I will just leave it at that. I don't think GJ is going to have surgery this year, but I think eventually he possibly will if he's having these kind of arm troubles, for sure. Bruce Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visitogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. Brent, what's going on in Tallahassee?
Yeah, they've got Earl Little, one of their defensive backs. He came from Alabama, is a guy that they really like. Also, now again, FSU will not have a spring game. They've limited the media to being able to see one practice, and that's it, which is disappointing. Frankly, they think that they've got some good linemen, Luke Pettibon, Micah Pettis, Gunnar Hansen, Adrian Medley. So those guys that they think will be able to help them. Also at wide receiver, Squirrel White, he used to be at Tennessee. If he's healthy, could really give them a help. Deuce Robinson also involved in that. Thomas Castellanos coming over from Boston College. Shane, I'll just be honest with you. I'm not sure he is that much of an upgrade if he is from what they had with DJU. So
the only thing he's an upgrade in is elusiveness and running the football.
Yeah.
I think Florida State's going to they're in big trouble. I think the ACC is between SMU and Clemson.
Yeah.
I don't think Florida State's even going to be in contention, quite honestly. They got too many holes to fill. Speaking of the ACC, we got a question on the Titan MR text line from Chris and Mayak. Says, ask Brent about the SEC adding North Carolina to the conference. It's been in the news cycle again lately. I think if they ever add two more teams,
yes,
it's the Virginia Cavaliers and the North Carolina Tar Heels.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I've said this when I had to go up to the SEC deal a couple of years ago. We had luncheon and a dinner with Mike. Is it Mike? I just lost his name.
Greg Sankey.
Greg, thank you. Mike Fly was from like a long time ago. Sankey basically told us those are the two teams that will be, if they expand, will be the next two teams in the SEC.
Yeah, well, and I'll dovetail with that with you, and I agree with that totally. North Carolina is their big target, frankly, and people would say, well, why? That they're not very good except in basketball. Well, the thing, North Carolina is very attractive for several reasons. The academic thing really does a lot for the presidents and the chancellors. Obviously, basketball, they're pretty good in baseball. And obviously, they think Belichick, maybe they can get a little bit better, but the potential is there for North Carolina on just a variety of things. The money, the resources, a lot of alumni and boosters. When you really sit down and look at it, I know they've struggled somewhat in athletics, but North Carolina would bring a lot to the table.
Yes, they would for sure. What's going on in Coral Gables with the Canes?
They're in spring practice too. And I think things are going okay with them. Carson Beck is there, but obviously he's not being able to do much. He's at practice, and I'm not even sure if he's throwing lightly yet. But they've still got, Shannon Dawson's our offensive coordinator. They like him. They like where they're going. Where they've got to get better, and we'll go into this more over the next few weeks, is on the defensive side of the ball. They really struggled toward the end of the season, and they've really got to fix that secondary. So that's going to be very important for them. It's a big year coming up for the Canes. Yeah.
Zach, our producer, says Boise State is replacing its iconic blue turf with a new, larger version, expanding the field's area and extending it further onto the track. And the project should be completed by May 30th. So it will continue to be Bronco blue, as they say.
Zach's on it as he usually is, so good.
Yes, indeed. Brent, any nuggets before we get you out of here?
Yeah, real quick. Texas A&M, they really like KC Concepcion. He is from NC State, so they're excited about what he may be able to do. Texas loses a lot of receivers. Isaiah Bond, Silas Bolden. Freshman Parker Livingston is a guy that they really like a lot, too. And also at Missouri, the backup quarterback, Drew Pine, is in the transfer portal. Get this, Shane, looking to move to his fourth school after being at Notre Dame, Arizona State, and Missouri. He'll be a sixth-year senior in the fall.
Jeez, crazy stuff. Brent, enjoy the Final Four. You like the Gators winning?
I do. I think they'll win the national championship. It's sure not going to be easy, particularly after getting past Auburn and Duke or Houston. Houston, look, Houston is so good defensively. Shane, they start guarding you when you get off the bus, much less in the arena. So it's going to be a great Final Four.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun, no doubt about it. Well, we'll discuss it all next week. Brent, have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next Thursday, my man.
Enjoyed it, bud. Take care.
That's Brent Beaird, a college football analyst and Heisman Trophy voter, joining us on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Quick timeout. Come back. We'll be joined by the SEC Network's Mike Morgan. We're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the International Diamond Center Studios. We'll be right back.
Our premium sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union,
International Diamond Center,
Meldon Law, QC Kinetics, Dave & Buster's, UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute, JF Hayden Craft Liqueurs, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Los Linderos Tequila. Gridiron sponsors are Baker Sporting Goods, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Meals Cheesesteak, Celebrate Primary Care, Dowling Sign, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, Okido America, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Nest and Wow, MG&A Wealth Management. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. To become a sponsor, call my man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
Unleash the Inferno.
Naysayers, setbacks, injuries, life throws a lot of hurdles your way. The key is just keep jumping them.
What's up, everyone? I'm Mike Pouncey, and this is my twin brother Marquise Pouncey, and this is Life After Football. Let's go. We are the owners of Tropical Distillery, and JF Hayden's is our liqueur brand. We have 5 different flavors: a mango, a lychee, an espresso, citrus, and key lime pie. We pride ourselves on not only being a Florida-made brand, but also a cocktail solution. With that being said, cheers and go Gators.
Welcome back to the International Diamond Center Studios. There are many car washes in Gainesville, but only one Gallo Car Wash, locally owned by UF alum and the only car wash that provides NIL opportunities to Gator athletes. Locations on Northwest 13th Street, Southwest Wilson Road, and coming soon to Jonesville. Back to the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. We're joined by the SEC Network's Mike Morgan. Good morning, Mike. How you doing?
Good morning to you, Shane. Good morning to PodUp Nation. It is a great, beautiful day. I'm down here in West Palm Beach and looking forward to a terrific Final Four on Saturday.
Well, first, before we get into that, what in the hell's going on with the Braves? I mean, obviously they played the Padres and the Dodgers, pretty good teams, but still.
Right. No, look, they're ordinarily in this situation, I'd be the first guy to say, now look, it's early and there's 162 games and don't overreact. Okay, there's some truth to that. There's also some truth to the fact they only made one major move, if you want to call it that, in the offseason, in Jurickson Profar. He gets dinged for PEDs. You're never going to see him in the postseason, even if he does come back in a Braves uniform in like 3 months. That just helps set a very, very nasty tone. Now, they're going to get Acuna back, and they're going to get Strider back. But honestly, I look at it, Shane, and I try to say this to people in Atlanta when I do shows on the flagship over there, that the Braves did not get any better, and a lot of the National League did, including the teams that the Braves are losing to this week, including the Mets, including the Phillies. I think it's going to be a very challenging season. They will bounce back. There is talent on this team. They're going in a massive collective slump that is really hard to explain. That's not going to last forever, but it is a team that I have concerns about in terms of actually being in the postseason, and that's what it's all about when you're a team that is top 10 in payroll, has been winning divisions on the regular, and let's not forget, just a few years ago, won a World Series with a lot of the players that are still on this roster.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's talk about the Gators. Before we jump into Auburn, I said this, Mike. I became a Gator in '88. I thought the win the other night was the best win, the most exciting win I've ever seen in any sport for the Gators. What about you?
Let me just first say, can I say how lucky this audience is that you are not only the 2-time SEC Player of the Year in football, and obviously know your stuff in that arena, but there's a lot of guys like you that played football, are in the media, and they know football, and they don't know crap about anything else. You actually love basketball. I could just tell by listening to your show, even when I'm not on. I love it. I love the fact that and I know you played. I know you played with a lot of talented people back in Mississippi, and it shows, man. That's good. That's a luxury for your audience. No, I think it's obviously right up there, Shane. That game was scary to me going into it, and I felt like I was in the minority. Like a lot of people were talking about, oh, it's a foregone conclusion. This is going to be an easy one. Just go ahead and start making your Final Four plans. I was like, I don't know about that. There's just a lot of things about that Texas Tech squad, first off, I think they're very well coached, although he'll obviously be criticized for a lot of things that went wrong. If Texas Tech doesn't miss, this is the part of the game that 10 years from now, nobody will even remember it. As I've talked about many times on your show, as a student, I covered the 94 team, the first Final Four team. And that team never gets to first base if Donyell Marshall, one of the best players in the country all year long, in a lottery pick, and a great free throw shooter, misses not one but two of them. And that helps set up the upset. You remember that? The fact that what I love about college basketball, and I hope we never get rid of, with all the rule changes, and I think most of them have been good, some of them not so good, the 1-and-1. You only have it a couple of times a game, right? Because you only have it on the 7th, 8th, 9th foul if it's not on a shot. So sometimes it barely even plays a factor at all. But every now and then it sneaks up in a key moment, and you want to talk about pressure packed. It's like that, I don't know, Shane, an 8-foot putt for a semi good golfer, not you, but a lesser golfer. That can be all the pressure in the world. And the two misses on the front end of the 1-and-1, that paved the way. Like Clayton has to hit the shots and Thomas Houck has to hit the shots. But if Texas Tech makes their free throws, I don't know what kind of conversation we're having right now. The other thing that I'll just say, 10 years from now, Gator fans will remember this. I don't know if the national media will. Walter Clayton, we can't say enough accolades about him. He's phenomenal. I think he's going to be a great pro. He had, to use a Bill Rafferty quote, onions down the stretch on those 3-point shots. He doesn't force a lot. He's just a great basketball player, and he's turned himself into that after being predominantly a football guy. That's why he was under the radar in recruiting. But I can't tell you how many times people just overlook that Thomas Houck had two of the biggest shots. We're not having this conversation if Thomas Houck doesn't hit those shots. Walter Clayton could have had 35. Thomas Houck was unbelievable, was absolutely unbelievable, and he's a matchup nightmare. So while we're talking about the All-American Walter Clayton, that's the low-hanging fruit for the media. Walter Clayton. He was terrific. But Thomas Houck was outstanding, and we're not talking about a Final Four with Florida in it if he doesn't step up and hit two massive shots himself.
Yeah, no doubt about that. We got a text here on the Titan Mart text line, kind of moving towards the Auburn game. This is from Chris and Mike. If Janai Broome is a shell of himself on Saturday, why is Florida only a 2.5-point favorite? If Broome is severely limited, I don't see how Auburn wins this game unless Florida just self-implodes. Your thoughts? Did we lose Mike?
Oh, you got me? Sorry about that. I got muted there by accident. I think it's going to be a tough game regardless. Look, I think a lot of people just assume because Florida went in there in the Neville Arena however many weeks ago that was and put it on Auburn that, okay, advantage Florida, they're a better team. That might be so. I think I've seen Bruce do this a number of times where he's got players out, be it injury, be it suspension, be it whatever. Bruce is the man. This is why Bruce is a Hall of Fame coach in my mind, whether you like him or not. Bruce is the master of using things that are against him as motivation. He's a master motivator. This is why when everybody was saying Auburn's lost 3 out of the last 4, I'm not picking them to go to the Final Four, I was like, oh, hell no. I now more than ever, I've got them in the Final Four because I knew he would be able to take that negative and turn it into a positive. Same thing with Janai Broome. I think Janai will play. I don't know how effective he'll be. He's basically going to be playing with one elbow. He certainly can be a force just rebounding and helping kind of plug the middle a little bit, even if he can't shoot like he normally would. But Auburn is one of those teams with the way they play. It's not on one guy. You know, they have other bodies. Caldwell's a big, wide body who plays hard and tough. Look, I think it's going to be a great game, Shane. Even if Janai is banged up. Now, if he doesn't play at all, obviously that's a major major blow, and I don't think Auburn could overcome that. But if he's on the floor, and I expect him to be, I think this is a close game.
Yeah, I just don't see how he's not going to be the same player, even if he gets shot up and all that stuff. I mean, look, Auburn's extremely talented. I think the difference in this Auburn team compared to even the one that went to the Final Four, to me, Mike, is they got the Pettiford kid, and then the kid that transferred from Georgia Tech. His name escapes me, number 13. Those dudes can shoot the basketball. They can make shots. Baker Mazar, he's that guy that you're like, no. Yes, good shot. You know, he takes crazy shots. So for the Gators to beat them, what are the keys in your mind? What has to happen?
I think they can't let Auburn turn this thing into helter-skelter, because that plays into Auburn's favor. Florida is a more structured team. Florida is a team that, again, I've said this all year long, that the magic of what Todd Golden does and the way they play, they're so well spaced. They're a great passing team. For years and years, I would have opposing SEC coaches tell me the best passing team in the SEC was Billy Donovan's teams. Nobody was better at passing and spacing than Billy Donovan. It was just part of his system. They all were taught, and everybody knew where to be and how to handle the basketball. Outside of every now and then, Walter gets a little too loose for my liking on his handle, and one or two sloppy passes a game. Outside of that, they are normally very well disciplined in valuing the basketball. So if they don't turn it over, if they don't let it become helter-skelter, and Auburn's just kind of getting those live ball turnovers, as I like to call them, pick sixes. You turn it over on a pass, I intercept the pass, I take it all the way for an easy layup on the other end. Stay away from that. If it just comes down to a pure, structured, skilled game, I like Florida. If it becomes helter-skelter and you see turnovers and you see Florida get, here's the word I'm going to use, Shane, uncomfortable. Auburn makes people uncomfortable. That's a big reason why, even on simple things like inbounds passes, Bruce Pearl for years has led the nation in causing a turnover or a timeout on a simple out-of-bounds play, because they actually teach that. Don't get uncomfortable. Keep doing what you do. Play a crisp game, and you'll win it.
What do you think about the other game, Duke-Houston? Who you like?
Well, I've liked Duke all along. They've got the best player in the country, and I would say that even if Janai Broome is healthy. I vote on the Naismith Player of the Year, and I gave my vote to Cooper Flagg. That's not going to change. I don't think people – like, some people have seen Cooper Flagg, and they're like, well, I thought he would score 40 with all this hype. I don't really see it. No, then you're not seeing the whole thing. You're not seeing the whole picture. What he does, the way he controls the game at his size is it's just different. It's just different. And it's not just him. Like, Knipple is a hell of a player. He looks like a 35-year-old wealth management guy, like a hedge fund guy, but
he does.
Like he's not athletic. He's just like, is this guy really going to be a factor? Oh, yes, he is. Okay, never mind. I take it all back. So he's good. Of course, they've got massive size. They're the tallest and the longest team in the country. I don't always get, hyped up over that, because sometimes bigger is not better. But in this case, it's not just size for the sake of size. It's size combined with athleticism and skill that Duke has more of than anybody in the country. Houston, in a lot of ways, these two games mirror one another, Shane, because what Houston does, you want to talk about making teams uncomfortable. They make you feel like you're in a dentist chair getting a root canal for 40 minutes. I mean, that's what Kelvin Sampson has always done as well as anybody, and this team does it too. So most teams just kind of, they get suffocated and their offense falls apart. I don't see that happening with Duke. I'd be shocked if that happened with Duke, so I like Duke in the other game.
Yeah, it's a great matchup. Knipple, is he a freshman?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, he looks like he's 35, Shane.
Yeah, and he's 6'6", and he's a really good shooter, man.
Spot on.
Somebody on here, let's see, who was it? Oh, right here, Barone71 on YouTube says, "I'm willing to bet Knipple is far more athletic than Mike just gave him credit for." Well, he is. He plays for Duke, but he doesn't look like he's athletic.
Yeah, no, yes, I'm pretty sure he could beat me in a combine, or anybody else my age for that matter. But yeah, he's more athletic than you would think. There's no question. Cooper Flagg is off the charts athletic. I mean, I swear he came out of the womb with like a 40-inch vertical. Knipple doesn't beat you with raw athleticism, and he'd be the first one to tell you. He jokes about it, like, I'm not the quickest, I'm not the most explosive, but what he is just a master of skill in terms of he can get a shot off against anybody, and he's just got a smooth, like, effortless stroke, and he's good with the basketball. Like, there's nothing about his game that sticks out as a weakness. He plays well beyond his years. He's the guy I didn't see coming. I didn't know much about when I started hearing about Duke's recruiting class and everything else. I know his mom was a big time basketball player in the Midwest. I think they're from the Milwaukee area, somewhere in Wisconsin. But he is a really big part of what they do. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and his twin got none of that ability. Tony says, this is a good point here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law. I want to see Shire coach in a close game when a title is on the line. They destroy everyone, so it's not mattered yet. Yeah, him against Kelvin Sampson should be a pretty good coaching matchup.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. It's not just about Shire. Those players went through a really bad ACC and beat the crap out of just about everybody. So this is where Florida and Auburn have a distinct advantage over Houston and Duke. Houston and Duke played in leagues where they dominated. And I have plenty of respect for the Big 12 as a basketball league. We just saw that with Texas Tech. Kansas was a little bit down this year, but obviously that's a blue blood. But they haven't had the every game grind coming down to the wire against the level of SEC competition, which, as we all know by now, ad nauseum, it was the greatest year for a conference in the history of college basketball. Does that play a factor in this next two games for Houston and Duke? I think it's a very good question, and I can't wait to see how it plays out.
Yeah, so we're not coaches here, Mike, so we can look ahead. Let's say Gators win, Duke win.
All right.
Who do you put on Cooper Flagg?
Wow. I think it would be a combination of Houck and Condon. I don't think Elijah Martin can hang with him, but you got to remember,
right over him though.
Yeah, Flagg is every bit of 6'9". I mean, that's a major. You're giving up a lot of size if you put Martin on him. I just think it's a combo play, and a guy like Chinyalu is not quick enough. He'll get beat on the bounce easily. I think it's a combination of Houck and Condon. And look, I'll go to war with those two dudes because they are athletic, they're scrappy, and combined they'd have 10 fouls to work with. But yeah, I think Florida has the bodies to match up with Duke and Cooper Flagg that most teams do not. You know, it's not going to be like Florida's going to be in awe of Duke's size or athleticism, because Florida has plenty of size and athleticism, and they're deeper. So I think that would be an unreal matchup. If it happens that way, I think it would be a superb matchup.
We got a text here on the Titan MR text line from James. He says, Mike, I know you haven't been to Florida's football spring practice, but do you have any concern with DJ Lagway not throwing?
I do now. I mean, if you would have asked me this a few weeks ago, Shane, I would be like, this is a big nothing burger. It's internet guys trying to get clickbait, and who cares? It's just spring football, and nobody tries hard in spring games anymore anyway. But I don't know, Shane. I mean, it certainly seems like something. The more you hear about this, we're not talking about a pitcher that is trying to rest his arm, throwing 98 miles an hour. We're talking about a quarterback throwing the football. So it would seem to me like there's clearly something wrong with the shoulder. You tell me what you think.
Well, I've only been to one practice, and it was for like 25 minutes. But when I heard about this, when spring ball started, I was extremely concerned. I just never heard of anything like this.
Right.
So I'm hoping it's just not a big deal. Because, the last game he played in was, December 20th against Tulane. And I don't know. So we'll see. I'm keeping our fingers crossed like everybody else in America that follows the Gators. Before we get you out of here, Andy wants to know on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, do you think Shedeur Sanders will be taken by the Giants at number 3, or can he eventually be a top 10 QB in the NFL?
Well, I think everybody has come around to the fact that it's going to be Cam Ward number 1. Cam Ward is a much more it's a much safer pick with better arm talent, better overall size and strength than Shedeur Sanders. See, here's the thing, Shane. I think a lot of people still think Shedeur Sanders, because of his dad, because of his name, is this great athlete. He's really not. I mean, this is not Jaden Daniels. This is not Lamar Jackson. He doesn't have his dad's foot speed. So what do you have? You have a guy that's not great, is not particularly fast, not particularly strong, not particularly big. Now, he was accurate in college, and he played behind a porous offensive line. He did have good wide receivers, including the Heisman Trophy winner. But to me personally, who cares what I think if you're the New York Giants front office? I think it's a reach to take him at 3. And I think most of the people that I respect that cover this, and I'm kind of an NFL draft junkie, they don't think he's a top 10 prospect. A lot of them don't even have him as a first-round talent. So you're going to take him at number 3? Man, oh, man. And can you imagine if it doesn't go well, what kind of drama that might bring your franchise? I wouldn't do it personally. The Giants have made so many bad picks, including ones at quarterback. It would make all the sense in the world. If any team was going to do it, it would be them. But no, to me, that seems like a reach. I would punt, try to get your quarterback next year, because there's going to be a lot better quarterbacks available in the first round a year from now. But as we all know, Shane, if you don't have the QB in the NFL, you're not competing for big prizes. People get desperate, and they're going to start reaching. And I'll tell you one other thing, Jackson Dart, who I like, but I don't know if he's a first-round talent per se. He's not only going first round. There's some people that think he's going to go top 20.
Well, who I think out of the quarterback list, and I don't follow the NFL, but just watch them in college. I think Kyle McCord is going to surprise some people.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I think he gained a lot of traction there at the end. I think a lot of people look, and from what I understand, his workouts, he did nothing but help himself.
Yeah, but I think he's a guy that can be in the NFL for a long time. Mike, good stuff as always. Let everybody know how they can listen to your podcast.
Yeah, JC and Morgan, we're actually we're cranking that thing up not long after you sign off the air. We're available on YouTube, on Facebook, Twitter, iTunes, Spotify. Tom Luganbill will join us at 9:30, a kind of a regular friend of ours. He's kind of like your JC, he just pops in, and we always enjoy the time that Lugs gives us. We'll talk plenty of football with him. We even talk a little movies with him. Val Kilmer passed away. I don't know if you're a big movie guy, Shane, but I was a little bummed about that. Val was certainly outstanding in so many great movies like Top Gun and one of my favorites, Heat. But we'll chop it up with Tom at about 9:30 this morning.
Good stuff as always. Have a good week. Enjoy the Final Four. Hopefully we're talking about possibly a national title this time next week.
Could be a lot of fun. Thank you, Shane.
All right. That's Mike Morgan. Join us on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp, Florida Victorious, proud NIL partner of the Florida Gators. Join today to help make Florida victorious. Appreciate everybody chiming in. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.